everyone, it's Frances Byrne here from Stamp House Studio. Being the last Tuesday of the month, it's time for our May Creative Chat with the My Favourite Things design team. This month it's all about ink pads. We are showing you how we store our ink pads and also any tips on organisation we might have. So let's get started on a tour of my ink pad storage. On our tour today, I'm going to start on my desk area and around my desk. And the first thing that you see is my Stampin' Up! Storage system that I have here. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this system. I have most of my Stampin' Up! Ink pads in here, as you can see, and it turns quite easily so that it is easy for me to access whatever ink pad I want, especially while I'm sitting at my desk. I don't have to go too far for those. Now then, I do have more Stampin' Up! Ink pads that don't fit into here anymore, and so I have them in the drawer in this little box here, and you'll also see some ink pads that I also have that are for Stampin' Up! Which I also keep in there. Okay, continuing along my desk, we come over here. I'll just move a couple of things. And in this drawer here, I have a couple more ink pads that I use a fair bit. This is the one I use most often, and it's the Brilliance ink pad, and it's actually called Graphic Black, and I like that to stamp my images and then colour. I also have Versamark, and there's Memento and a few other miscellaneous ink pads in there. In this one I have a few more ink pads, and then along this side here I have pigment ink pads and a few impressed dye ink pads in here, and there's a few Vivids. These are really old ink pads. Probably the Impress are probably my very first ones, or close to that. I don't even know that they're made anymore. At my desk, you'll see on the side here, I have what are a couple of toolboxes, and so I'll just pull one of those out, put it on the floor, and you can see that there. And just to make it easier, I'm going to go and put these on the table behind me so that you can have a closer look inside them. Okay, so here we are. These are actually toolboxes, and I got mine at a market a number of years ago, but I've also seen them in hardware stores, and they just open up by lifting off the hooks at the top there, and that flap comes down like that, and you can see a number of different compartments which are all divided by these little yellow spaces. These are removable, and they actually came with more than these. There were ones that went in the middle again, but because they're removable I was able to take them out and rearrange it to suit my ink pads. I have seen some similar to this where these bits don't come out, so if you're looking for this type of system, I suggest that you check that out first, because otherwise your ink pads mightn't fit inside. So in this one here I store all my distress ink pads. Let's see if you can see that there, that's better. And I also store my sponging blocks in there as well. These are my sponging blocks, which I've had, well, this one not for long, but most of the others for years and years and years. The second one that I had underneath my desk, and then this one I store some of my permanent ink pads. This is Ancient Page. I have a few of those, and then on this side here I have some archival ink pads, and I've got those in there and there, and you'll also see in that one there that I have a few re-inkers for one of the ink pads, a couple of the ink pads in there too. The rest of my ink pads are stored in this shelf over here. You can see that I have some, there are actually 3 of the toolboxes with my ink pads in that middle shelf, and then 3 more, they're all behind each other on the bottom shelf there. And again, I'll take them out from there so we can have a closer look. Okay, so I'll just open this one up again. And this one stores all my colour box fluid chalk ink pads in here. I have the full size and I have a few of the cat size as well. And I really love this ink pad, and I particularly like using it when I'm using a solid stamp. I find that it really makes it easy to stamp those without any problem. So I have those in this one, and I have the rest of the colours in here. There's some more of the fluid chalks, and then also some fresco chalk pads. These were the first chalk ink pads that came out. I don't like those as much as I like the colour box ones. And then down this side here I have all my Encore ink pads. Okay, the ultimate metallic ink pads. This one's bronze, but there's quite a number of different colours and they can look really effective using those. So that's what's in that one. Still on our chalk inks, and these ones here are the Versa Magic chalk inks. I have a few of these ones as well, and in this particular container you can see in that little recess there I've also got the re-inkers for some of the Versa Magic ink pads that I have there. And then on this side here I have my Stays-On ink pads. They're in there, and also there is a re-inker there if I needed it. One stores all my Brilliance ink pads, other than that black one that you saw before. All the various different colours in here. You see those, and again I have re-inkers for those tucked in there. I don't have re-inkers in every toolbox. It really depends on how many ink pads and just how much room there is in that particular toolbox. And on this side I have the opalites. Hopefully you can see that. I've got light shining above me. And again there's some re-inkers there. So that's that one. Now this next one here, I'll just open this one up, and these are my dye inks. These are the Adirondack ones on these two rows here, and then on these rows here I have Stamp It, which are also made by Ranger. I think they were made for a stamp company here, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And then up here I have Memories ink pads. I think that's what's up on this side too. You can see there. So you can see there's no re-inkers in that one because there's no room. And in the final box I have all my rainbow ink pads. Okay, there's some Adirondack ones here. Now these ones here, it's one full solid pad, so the inks are graduated. And then we have the Collider Colour ink pads, which when you open those up you can see that they're separated. So to use these, I'll turn that around so I can flick the switch here. Just flick that and now you can use it and get one colour. I used to use these a lot, don't so much now, because these days I find it just as easier if I want multicolour ink on a card to use my Copic airbrush system. It's a lot easier for me. Finally, with ink pad storage, with ink pads you need sometimes re-inkers, and the ones that don't fit in my ink pad boxes I'll find in this little drawer here, divided into different categories. There are also a lot of techniques that you can use in re-inkers rather than ink pads, so that's another reason why I've got a lot. But it's also handy if you use a particular type of ink pad a lot to have the re-inker, so that if it gets dry you can keep using it. Just one more thing I wanted to share with you before I go, and that's my ink pad colour chart that I created a number of years ago. With this I've used the type of card that I stamp on, and I've created the grids in Excel, and I've put the type of ink pad and also the particular colours. All that's done on the computer, and then I've printed that out and just stamped using a solid stamp each of the different ink pad colours underneath where they belong. And I found this helpful when I'm looking for a particular colour to match something that I'm doing. I've got all my different ink pads in here, as you can see, Brilliants, Adirondacks, etc. So I hope that's given you a few ideas, and don't forget to check out the rest of the design team to see how they store theirs. Bye for now.